Thank you, sir, for enlightening the audience. We now have the next speaker for the day, Mr. Girish Rangaswamy, Senior Manager for Mobile Solutions at Finjan Technologies. With over 15 years of experience in the IT industry, Girish has played a critical role in designing and deploying both web and mobile-driven solutions for complex business scenarios ranging from e-commerce, ERP, to satellite telemetry systems. We welcome you, sir, to speak upon the topic, real-time communication in mobile.
Yeah, before I start, I'd like to thank Morpcon for giving me this opportunity to speak. And this is my second time appearing in Morpcon as a speaker. And the things, the activities that the Morpcon guys are doing is really appreciable, and especially to the mobile tech community out here. They're doing is awesome in getting people together and have brainstorming sessions like this and roadshows like this is really appreciable. Now, what I'll try to go through in my 30-minute session is to give you an overview of how real-time communication works, especially in terms of mobile technology, and how you could use that mobile real-time communication technology in using it for your own purposes. There are various technologies that I'll go through in here. Most of them are for very, very high level scalable mobile application, but you can choose which one to have and have your own mix of things, and then have a product that is like marketable to very small or to a very high audience, that high availability audience, that is. Now, if I was to ask from the audience who all use WhatsApp, that would be like really a stupid question, because all of us use WhatsApp, right? Is there anyone who doesn't use WhatsApp? I know there is one person, Prasid Pai. I think he still uses a feature phone, right? Yeah. Okay. So anyone else who doesn't use WhatsApp? Okay. Oh, okay. Use smartphone, but doesn't use WhatsApp. Okay. Do you use any other communication platform like Facebook Messenger or anything?
Most of them are using Slack.
Yeah, that is one thing I'll be covering. Okay. What is real-time communication? So I know when I'm speaking to you, that is a real-time communication. Like my sound travels to you through the air and reaches. Yeah, but there is a sort of a delay in that. But in terms of a technology perspective, how real-time communication, what real-time communication is actually exchange of information with a very short latency. That is, when you talk on a land phone, you're talking to someone on the other end, and there is this immediate voice being transferred to the other end, but there is a latency, but it's more or less real time. So information exchange with a negligible amount of latency is like what makes one of the core part of a real time communication. And also when you talk, or when you do a real time communication, or talk or chat or send text, there is always a direct link from the sender to the receiver. But there might be intermediate nodes in between. That is like when you make let's say when you send an SMS from a phone to a different phone, the SMS is actually relayed through a mobile tower to the main exchange mobile SMS server, and then being relayed back to you. But what actually matters is that there is a direct path between the sender and the receiver. But as I told, there could be multiple nodes involved in between. And the other thing is that in terms of just purely based on telecommunication and technology, it could be half duplex or full duplex. So what that actually translates, I know if, how many, are there any students in here who are like, any students in here? Okay. Computer science? Okay. Do you know what half duplex and full duplex is? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Half duplex means that when I'm trying to communicate with a person on the other end, the other person will not be able to send a message back to me. It's like, it's two-way, but only one can go in one direction. And the other person has to wait and then send the message back. So, and that differs from full duplex, which is like you can send, using the same communication channel, you can send to and fro without obstructing the other person's message or talk or whatever is happening. So all these things in terms of technology is what comprise the real-time communication. And as I told, this could include real-time communication from a technology perspective, could include telephony in a conversational sense. That is like making a call on a land phone, that's a wired phone. Mobile and cellular telephone communication, it's the same thing. So all those rules that I just mentioned above, that is like direct link between the sender and the receiver, a communication channel, and also these are all full duplex communication. Like you can actually talk and you don't have to wait for the other person to talk. Then that's what actually happens in terms of a ham radio. Have anyone used ham radio or any? Yeah, this is what actually the police and other people use to communicate. That is actually half duplex. That is like you can send once and the other person has to wait, and that's why they say, okay, I have this message over. Like that's their endpoint, so that other person can receive it. So that is like half duplex. So that is also the one way of one example of full duplex and also half duplex communication in terms of real-time communication. IRC and chatting modes. Is there anyone who has used IRC? Okay, that's a long time back, right? Like what, 2000? Right, 2000, right? Yeah, and that got transformed into a chatting system as we know right now. That is like one topic which is coming up. So any form of chatting system, like is it like mobile based or computer based or anything, that also includes as the real-time communication. Live video conferencing and teleconferencing, yeah, that again is like what we are specifically saying is like VoIP communication is also real-time communication. SMS, MMS, and IM. Cloud. Okay. Yeah, so again, this could have been the game changer if only. So SMS, it's again like real-time communication. When as I said before, you have messages transmitted from the user, like one user to the other user through servers in between. Again, real-time communication in action. But the SMS really had a chance to go like how we use WhatsApp or anything right now. They really had a chance to make it and not to have all those things in place, but that it didn't happen. And that's because there are various reasons. And I've listed like 4 reasons for it. And one of them, and like this is one of the least factors, is data congestion. I don't know if you have noted, like when you're trying to communicate or send SMS during peak time, and one of the best time would be a New Year. When you're trying to send SMS, you cannot do that. Like you have to wait for that SMS to be delivered, like for a long time. So that is one major disadvantage in using SMS. And it was never, they didn't work on it to make it better so that avoid data congestion. All they did was that have multiple towers and then relay it. Yeah. And also MMS, which was good, so that it means that MMS actually means that you can send not just text but also pictures and videos. But I don't know, have anyone sent an MMS here?
once or twice, yeah.
Yeah, you know what's the major problem with using an MMS? The setup is so difficult, right? If anyone has done that before, maybe in a feature phone like that or like half smart, I mean that's like a Nokia communicator. It's very difficult to set up, right? And also, yeah, this is data limitation. That so one other thing was that SMS can have only like 160 characters. I know in the current time it could be more. Like I've tried it with more than 160, but it did work, but there was like a lot of delay in getting it out of my phone and getting to network and other person. There was a lot of delay. Like when you compare that to like WhatsApp, there's like huge amount of delay when you're sending more than 160 characters. The other factor, data limitation, what I mean is that MMS can send pictures and videos, but then they have to use their own proprietary format. You can't send like any videos over MMS or any pictures. Yeah, JPEG 2000 I think works, and 3GP for MMS multimedia. But other than that, you cannot use anything, and you're like, and the phone manufacturers restricted themselves to use their own sort of formats in sending. So again, a lot of problem when you want to send like. Wait, okay, I'm getting used to this now. So when you want to send a picture from one phone to another phone, they made it superbly difficult to send it, and people ended up not using it. Like I don't know, like, as you said, like not many people did use it. And the most important factor as to why SMS and MMS failed was a cost factor, because you have to pay for every message being sent. Compare that to WhatsApp, you don't actually pay for messages or pay for characters. Once we had like to pay for per message, then it went down to like per word, and we started off using, then when it started off to word, we actually tried having shorten those words into smaller words, right? One of the advantages of having the 160 character limit was that it actually gave way to Twitter having 140 characters. Like it was adopted from SMS because they want to use the same concept of having lesser number of words in sending information. So they adopted that limitation, and now that's like big, because again, they don't charge you for sending one single tweet. It's all based on a data plan. And so cost was a major negative factor for not having people adopt SMS. Imagine if SMS was free, you could send any number of messages to anyone. I know you could buy bulk SMS package, but if it was free, then we would never have, let's say, WhatsApp or a Facebook Messenger like what we have right now. And also coming to real-time communication. So this was happening in mobile technology, like sending SMS. There was a different trend happening on the web in terms of real-time communication. Like as I said, IRC was like a very early thing that happened in the web. Yahoo Chat, I don't know if people are, the people I see are like, most of them are youngsters, and I don't know if they have used Yahoo Chat. Anyone use Yahoo Chat? Okay. Like, do you use it on mobile or web or Yahoo Chat rooms? Anyone? PCs, okay. Yeah, I know you would remember the way, like way back in 2000, we used to have Yahoo chat rooms, right? And ICQ. Yeah, this could bring old memories back. I don't know if, have anyone used ICQ? Okay, I keep asking this, okay. I see the same hands going up who said they worked on who used IRC, but I don't see many people doing that, because see, that's one thing. See, they failed to take the leverage that they had in the web platform and convert that into the mobile platform. So that's one point that I'm coming to. AIM, I know that nobody in here have used it. MSN Messenger, Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So all of these things in common had one major problem. That is, most of them were proprietary protocols, and you cannot intercommunicate. Like if you had a ICQ account, you cannot communicate with Yahoo Chat or AA Messenger. I know there are tools that integrated all these things into one, and we could communicate. But if you want to communicate, intercommunicate, there was none, and they didn't want to, like they were oblivious about the change happening. I don't know what happened, but they didn't want to move on mobile. They did. In fact, when they did, it was like too late. Yeah, and this is one different thing. So Skype, I know Skype, everyone would be using Skype, right? Also on the mobile phone and the computer, right? So that is one platform that has like stuck on to and has made a transition at the right time. And there is still like very huge user base still using Skype. So yeah, so now let's take a look at what are the most trending apps in mobile real-time communication. So this is going to be like a sort of a trivia thing. So there will be logos flashed, and you could have, and I want you from the audience to answer what that logo represents. I know this could be simple, because if you are using any of this app, it would be like very obvious for you. So yeah, so and there are also prizes to give away, right, Safil?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. So the person who answers the most, maybe you need to keep track of the person who answers the most number of questions correct, they could have prizes for it. Okay, here we go. Okay.
I'm extremely sorry.
Huh? No, you will come to that. Okay. Of course, yes. Okay. Anyone has all these things in the mobile? Okay. All this is gonna get filled up. Okay. Anyone uses Snapchat in here? Everyone? Okay, one person? Okay, that's good. I mean, that's yeah, it's BBM. How many people use Slack in here? And what do you use it for? Okay, yeah. You know, Slack, when you compare all these things to Slack, when you look up for Slack, it's not a communication tool. It's not an IM message. They say it as a collaborating tool. It's not an IM. That's so super, because see, what Slack actually did for the current mobile is that they just took the IRC concept and they remodified it and had a very good I know someone is speaking about UX today, and brought in a very good UX, and people started adopting it. And if this is about, like, say, okay, when I have this idea of creating a app similar to Slack, and I say, okay, this is my idea, I'm going to do a chat system for teams. I'm going to create a chat system for offices to communicate. No one would buy that idea, because see, there are already like dozens of chat applications doing the same thing. But Slack came into that overcrowded market, and they are really actually making it that. And I see like a lot of people using it, and they use it specifically in offices to communicate. And that's one. Slack actually stands out in terms of like casual communication. They actually are used for in offices and collaborative work. Okay. No, it's not Pigeon. No, it's not Java. It might be a Java client, but It could use Jabber or XMPP. No, this is very important. This thing is actually like, this is actually QQ. You know why that is important to mention QQ in here? That's because, see, okay, the number of user bases for WhatsApp is like 1 billion. That is active number of users. And if you compare that Facebook and Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp, 1 billion and 800 million. So when you compare that to like actual population of India and China, if you said if WhatsApp can be a country, they would be the third most populous country. And QQ is actually catching up in terms of Facebook Messenger. Last time when I looked up, QQ was 839 million active users. That is like, this is because mainly it's popular in China. So maybe like 90% or 80% of the population are still using QQ. Same with WeChat. WeChat was originally developed by a Japanese company, and people in Japan are the most users. It also used in South Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, and also India. So other than that, all these things, yes, this is so. Other thing, Skype is actually making a difference because they made a transition at the time when it really mattered and people are really using Skype even on the mobile phone. And all these things, Line, Viber, and Telegram. And Hike Messenger is like, it's an Indian company. I don't know if people know that. It's an Indian company. Its CEO is the son of Sunil Mittal. That's CEO of Airtel. So that Hike is like has a huge presence, and the target audience is especially of Indian audience. So that's why you have this localized language support, keyboard support, and in there. Yeah. So this is about the technologies that I picked like 4 major IM system from the previous listing. I tried to explain what technologies they use. Like, okay, now this might be important, like if you want to know how WhatsApp actually works. So I'm gonna in turn say, I will get to how WhatsApp actually works. So this is a first start for that. So I'm going to talk about the protocol they use, the server or the broker. The broker is a terminology used for the server, used for a publisher and pub-sub, publisher-subscriber architecture. The server-side programming language, online database, and offline. So one thing I would say, one disclaimer is that, so the information that I've got, none of the technologies that mentioned here are public. This has been like done a research for what technology they use. I try to come up. They don't say what technology they use and or what architecture they use. They have been very secret. All these people are very secretive about it. For WhatsApp, they use XMPP. I know if you have used Jabber, that Jabber was the protocol that transitioned into XMPP. It is still valid and still being actively developed, although developed way back in 1999, is actively developed, and there are like numerous client-side integration and client-side servers, client-side integration, and also server-side integration, both, and very actively developed, and it could scale in a very huge way. For WhatsApp, there could be like at least like 300 to 500 million users actively online. So they went for XMPP because one of the choices were eJabberD. That's a server they use. eJabberD is written in eJabberD actually stands for E is for Erlang, Jabber is for Jabber, and D is a daemon. So eJabberD is a server written in Erlang. That's a language. And why eJabberD? Because it could handle like millions of simultaneous connections. So and because of that, they went for eJabberD and they adopted this Erlang language. And YAWS YAWS stands for yet another web server, again written in Erlang. It's again a high performance That's when you compare that to Apache web, so you could have like thousands or in term like at least like 100,000 connections simultaneously. So WhatsApp people when you connect to, all these things are involved in it. Erlang and PHP. I'm not sure about PHP because I'll come to why they use PHP in the next slide. Yeah, Erlang is their language because all the stack they use are based on Erlang. MnisiaDB, that's also an Erlang-based in-memory database. It's very similar to MySQL database, but it doesn't have a query. So you have to like write Erlang commands to get and retrieve data from the Amnesia database. They also have possibly they have a MySQL database store. I'll come, next slide is about what do they store in MySQL. Yeah, offline database, SQLite. So Android users, if you can pull out the phone and actually check, go to you have file browser open and go to the root folder, and if you could check, there is a folder called WhatsApp. Have a check what's in that folder? Android users. Anyone doing that? No? Check that? Yeah. What does it contain?
That contain the messages.
Yes. Yeah, so what they have is it's a local database, an SQLite database, a locally encrypted SQLite database. And they have multiple number of them, each for each day, and they might be consolidating it at some point. And there could be one active SQLite databases, and there could be like n number of databases based on the number of days that you have used. So by default, that since it's the embedded thing and suitable for mobile, SQLite was a default choice for that. Yeah, FB Messenger, they use a protocol called MQTT. MQTT stands for Message Queue Telemetry Transport. This was actually initially used and developed for IoT devices like embedded devices. It's a very lightweight server. Yes, it's a very lightweight server on an embedded device and multiple threading and multiple connections happening at the same. And one, when they made, okay, thanks up, faster, okay. Yeah, so I'll try to go this faster. Or they might use a IBM message site server, and a Mosquito is a server for MQTT. And they could be using Java. The online database is unknown, and then by default they use SQLite as a local storage. Yeah, Telegram. If you have used Telegram, one of the major things they promise is the encryption that happens. They say end-to-end encryption, like when the thing leaves from your phone and reaches the phone, it is encrypted. So most of the server technologies mentioned are like is unknown, and no one. I'll share this slide. I will share this slide, and you could look over it once done. Most of the things are known about Telegram. Yeah, so Slack. I put in Slack in there because there's a lot of things happening. A lot of people are using Slack. So Slack actually uses it's a normal Slack web server stack that anyone could use. It uses WebSocket, Java messaging, Apache, PHP, MySQL, and SQLite. This is an architecture diagram that would. Is this understandable? This is my take on how WhatsApp could work. Like when you're actually using WhatsApp, there are a lot of things happening. Yeah, because it is so happening it's so very fast that there are like, it's so optimized for the speed and also the minimal size of the data package. It should happen real fast. And then this is my take. I don't know if this is correct, but this is my take on how an WhatsApp architecture could be. So the message actually starts from, if a request actually starts from a mobile user, goes through the message, that's the message, that goes through an XMPP protocol to a clustered eJabber server. All these things are like not one server, but it could be geographically dislocated but connected servers. This is, although I say like one server, these are all clusters of servers. And that message could actually go into Amnesia cluster DB. Now in here, they could use a MySQL or Postgres to store profile data, metadata, and contacts. I presume they use in-memory NoSQL database called React. This is only for message. Does anyone know, is there anyone who can tell me if WhatsApp actually stores the message on the server? There has been debates on that. Yes?
Even if you delete and we check the URL in the back, you can see the message.
That's a group, right?
I remember exactly, but I tested it.
Okay.
Even if I delete it from the mobile,
Uh-huh.
and if we maintain the URL, if we didn't open the URL,
Oh, okay. That particular message you are looking.
the image one, I tested the image.
Yeah, image. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that is one thing. So that's one thing actually. Image works entirely different. So even if it's a single action, you send an image. Images are stored on the server. I don't know for how long, but they are stored on the server. But the example would be when you actually click on an image that you have received and forwarded, you are not uploading it from your mobile. Yeah, it's being transmitted from the web server to the other user. There are two advantages for it. First, I don't have to share, lose my message, my data, and also it's a cost saving on the server side for uploading the traffic needed for uploading. So they just store it because data traffic is costlier than data storage. So they just take the request and forward that particular video or audio and to the other user. So messages might be stored. Yeah, I don't know if the retention, they say 30 days, but they store photos, videos, and also I believe they don't say they don't store it or they store it, but I believe they store all the messages. I know it's a huge thing, but I think they store the messages.
You cannot test it because for a video and an image, there is a valid URL. But for the messages, there is no URL, so we cannot test it.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a write-only archive, message archive. You cannot, public is not, it's not for the public. But imagine if a government agency wants to get information from WhatsApp about some suspicious activity, they are like liable to do that. So to prove that or to show that to the government, they might be having a backup of that. Telegram does that. Telegram has a backup of messages if it's not P2P. If it's via server, they actually have backup of the message, but they say it's encrypted. But I believe WhatsApp has all the messages on the server, just to have, because you cannot have that, you cannot delete a message because there is a lot of liability in terms of the message that could actually pass through in terms of like liability towards government and activities that people, if that was not true, people could intercept the message and government agencies could like go to not to go to WhatsApp and ask for, okay, I need to look up some suspicious activities, and they couldn't say no to that. And
Are you sure they are not using analytics to identify your behavior?
everyone does that.
Yeah, so that means they will be the
Yeah, everyone analyzes, like if you develop an app, you would want to know that, right? You would want to like specifically target user groups, geographically distributed people. You would actually want to use analytics to actually focus on the users. So everyone uses analytics, and I believe they store the data, entire data. So one thing, other thing that is involved is DCM APNS push. So like that is when your mobile is off in the term like not switched off, but in sleep mode. and WhatsApp is not running, there is actually a GCM APNS push happening in the background that actually delivers a message to a sticky service or a sticky service for Android. APNS, when the message is for APNS, when the message is delivered, you click on it, it actually invokes the app. So there is a APNS GCM dependency on how messages are being delivered. Yeah, so XMPP, yeah, it is very important to understand how, if you want to understand how WhatsApp works, it's very important that you understand XMPP. So they use this protocol. They customize the eJabber server to have it scalable and to have their own implementations of it. It's a client server application protocol. The default communication network protocol for XMPP is TCP, but you can also use WebSocket as a fallback. At some earlier web and also there are some instances where pull was pulling, that is like polling from a server was a best used method, but now everything is being pushed. So you maintain a steady TCP connection to the server, and the data is being pushed through that open TCP connection. So it actually uses push instead of pull. What that means is that it actually saves battery life. You don't have to keep polling the server to get data. It's like going asking the server, do I have a message every like 20 seconds? You don't have to do that. The message gives back the message to you. Server gives back the message to you. That's like huge saving on bandwidth and also the battery life. XMPP is a very mature implementation. It's being developed since 1999 and very actively developed still now. It could also have serverless messaging for audio, video, and file transfer. What that means is that when I want to send something to you, there shouldn't be a server involved. Like when I'm sending a file to you, I should be sending directly to you. So if you could establish a P2P net, there is an initial handshake with the server. Then after that, the communication happens directly with two communicating parties. So in XMPP, there is a different implementation called Jingle done by Google. You could leverage that to bring in P2P communication. And with P2P communication, you could bring in audio, video, and file transfer. If you have used Skype lately, even if you want to send like 1 GB file across the same network, it wouldn't go through the server. It is actually very faster because that is actually P2P. So you could build a stack based on server communication and also P2P communication. And XMPP, it's also an open source protocol, and there are many implementations of XMPP and Wildfire, eJabber. eJabber is the one used by Facebook, and then support a variety of data stores. So when messages are delivered, there is an option to store it on a server or to delete it. So by default, these are the databases supported by XMPP. So in the latest things happening, there was a change that happened by implementing a WebSocket protocol. I know many people use WebSocket protocol. Anyone use a WebSocket protocol for communication, RTC? Okay. What is the need for it? Why do you use it? Chat system, okay. What is any server for it? Socket are you? Okay. WebSocket is a network protocol. What that means is that it could act as a application protocol and also a network protocol. That means that the data being transferred is within the network layer, but it is actually using the TCP. It modifies it for its own thing to send and receive data packets. And WebSocket was initially developed for the web, and all the latest browsers have WebSocket enabled in them. And That's why you could use Google Hangout even to have calls. That is using WebSocket, and all the servers have it. Now they have taken that implementation and also done it for the mobile. Yeah, it also works over a firewall, because since over a firewall, port 80 and 443 would be open on a corporate network. These two ports by default will be open, and WebSocket could actually use that port to have real-time communication. And the client-side implementation, that is like the mobile phone or the website or a language, there is like, it has covered every language, and there is implementation in every client applications. For mobile, you could use, for mobile implementation of Rocket Chat, the mobile side, you could use these two libraries, Socket and WebSocket. That's for iOS and Java. And for hybrid, by default, since it runs through a web browser, it's native. Although you might have to use some libraries for it, it's like, it works out of the box. And this is my take on how you could develop a real-time communication mobile app. I know I and Safil had a talk about how to do that, but this is my take on it. It's nothing much of a different from the WhatsApp architecture. I've just replaced the server with a Node.js and a Socket.io server. And for communication, that is like communication based, like image request, profile request, login, you could use a normal HTTP server. And for Node.js, for the chat system, chat log, you could use a Redis publisher subscriber based system. Is that, do you agree to that?
So Girish, one question, okay, instead of doing this, why can't we integrate with the client app?
Client app, this is a mobile?
Yeah, you showed some 7 or 8 logos, right? So in fact, they might be needing client SDK or something.
Yes.
Rather than trying to build an architecture. At least Skype has got that. What about others?
You mean to say, what do you mean to say is that you need to, you could.
Instead of creating an infrastructure
Uh-huh.
and then trying to dabble with all these protocols, if it is possible to use the client SDK provided by the licensing vendor, be it Cosmos, Java, or something else.
But they wouldn't allow you to build your own application and use their protocol, right? You use their server. Huh?
Yeah, OpenTalk does that, and right now.
No, I think I've covered that. I have a slide. So it's that you want to use, you want to build a chat system, but don't want to go through architecture stuff, architecting it. Use some technologies off the shelf and use it, right? Yeah, I think I have a slide for that. WebRTC is web real-time communication. I haven't covered it, but I guess it's using TCP protocol, and it is used for real-time communication, right? Who asked the question? Okay. Yeah, it is similar to this, but you could also have voice and data, and also peer-to-peer connections. It also uses TCP layer, I guess.
Actually, it's WebSocket, right?
Which one?
WebRTC.
Yeah, WebRTC is a network protocol. And WebRTC, WebSocket is a network protocol, and it is running on TCP. It modified the TCP to have a long time session based on two communicating servers. The communicating, that is there won't be timeout unless you want to have like specifically timeout those two connections. So this might be what you asked for, right? So this is like off-the-shelf thing. You don't have to do anything. Use their PubNub. It has everything in it. PubNub actually uses it's a global distributed data stream network. It actually uses WebSocket, Socket.io, SignalR, WebRTC, everything. You could have fallbacks to any of these technologies.
So how much SDK costs?
It depends on the usage.
Oh, it's pay by use.
Yes. One major problem that you could have when you use any of these things is that if you want to scale to a very huge level, You have to move your entire infrastructure to a custom. That is like costly for some companies. So that's why some company wants to stay away from any of these things. Have you ever heard of anyone heard of Contest Flight? It's actually an Indian company based in Chennai. They actually do the similar technologies that is used for WhatsApp. They actually have XMPP and also EJABD server. Yeah, so in terms of real-time communication, the things that could happen in the future, this is like the last slide, guys. Real-time communication in terms of like IoT-based real-time communication. It's not like one way when you want to send a communication to a device or a independent device. It could actually communicate back and have two-way instructions happening and have that particular independent system behave and act according to the instruction you send from here. AI system. So there could be in future there could be a real-time communication between two AI systems that they use for real-time communication. That is one area that RTC could be leveraged. Wearables, remotely controlled machines and robot and drones. So the remotely controlled machines, robot and drones that currently work over radio frequencies. So if that could be translated into like some channel that could use WebRTC, you could actually control a drone from here without actually going outside, and the drone would be relaying back messages to you. Yeah, done. Last slide. The drone would be relaying back messages back to you, and you could be sending instructions back to the drone. Yeah. So I know if there are questions, we could take it offline because it's getting very late. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
So where are you going to upload the slides?
Slide share.
Yeah. I will, yeah.
You share them up on
Page itself.
Okay, I could do that.
not only WhatsApp.
Okay.
So you said you will talk about why WhatsApp is using PHP later.
Yeah. Good thing you brought it up. Here, your server could be running a PHP implementation, but so the HTTP request does not necessarily has to go through the EJABD server. This is specifically for if you want to get a profile, you want to do a login. You don't have to have EJABD session or XMPP session for that. Your web server could do that. If you want to like get the list of people or the friends you have, you don't have to have an EJABD session for that. You could have a your web server do that. So anything which is not real-time chatting or communication, you would want to take that out of the EJABD server and plug that into a different server. That could be a HTTP call, not a XMPP call. And for that implementation, you could use PHP for that.
So parse was, I didn't see parse over there. So is it real time? I didn't see parse over there on the list. Parse.
You know why?
I know why you missed it. But we have been working on a project for like 8 months now, and suddenly we heard this thing that it's been shut down.
You know what? I don't know if people have heard that.
Yeah.
You want to say what happened?
No, actually we are shocked. This was actually the client's requirement that they wanted parse. Now we are actually shifting that from parse to Firebase. I'm really scared that someday Firebase would also be shut down.
Yeah.
So
That's all. So okay, the reason is that on Feb.
It belongs to Google client now. It belongs to Google.
Yeah. Pass belongs to Facebook.
no.
I know it's. Shall I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, what happened was on Feb 29th or 28th, Facebook announced they're going to shut down Pass. Pass is a very beautiful system. It's a cloud-based database store. You could and send real-time notifications. So what happened was that in 1 year's time, people are using Pass. They have to get all the data from their cloud to a Mongo base. So this is actually a key store database, not a database, data store based on Mongo. So you have to export entire data and move it onto any different database. Like the choices given were Mongo, DB, and right.
Yeah, they have open sourced a server, but we have to set it up.
Yep.
That is another problem.
Yes.
So,
I heard that AWS providing this migration service.
Yeah, we do that. Finland we do that. Migration services. Now there are people coming with this migration services.
Okay, so there is a lot of business
Opportunities in that. Yeah, this is sad for this because we have one client who's like struggling with this. You have to move from parts to. So we didn't go with a Firebase or anything. We are going for a custom MongoDB Node.js implementation. I would suggest that you wouldn't want to go with Firebase.
Yeah, that's costly too.
Yeah, it's costly. So if you want to scale, that's gonna be costly.
Yeah.
What I suggest is that get an AWS architecture, not one of the out of the box system, but build a custom architecture based on AWS. Okay.
Any more questions?
I hope I can answer it.
Praveen,
Okay.
from an architecture point of view, actually, you mentioned it uses push instead of pull.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at the battery consumption,
Mm-hmm.
it is a messenger app always consumes more. So,
Mhm.
from an architecture point of view, do you see any place we can optimize so that it uses less battery consumption?
So, first thing, don't use pull. Pull actually means pulling the server, and the timeout could vary. So, a good example would be that I'm currently working on is.
In this WhatsApp uses push only, right?
Yeah. I mean,
But
all
still it
these
is
things
high.
are push. It will not see if it was a pull, we wouldn't be using it because there would be a huge data consumed. That is like data packets being consumed, and there could be a severe hit on the battery. That is because, so let's consider architecture based on SQS, Amazon Server Queue, symbol queuing system. So what happens is that every time if you want to like get a packet from SQS, you have to have a live connection from your mobile phone to the server, and then and the default timeout would be 20 seconds. So you need to like poll for every 20 seconds, get the data in. So and also what happens is that when you get the data, it's not like although it's a queue, it's not a FIFO stack. It's like it's not a first in first out. So that the message delivered in the queue will not be the first message that you get. It could be like unordered. So you have to poll the queue till the end, get the entire messages, and then sort it on the client and then show it up. So if it's a chat system, you could see a message which was like addressed like 10 seconds after the client actually want to send it. So polling will not work. Why? Because when you're polling, the CPU needs to be awake, and that means that battery consumption is more. And also you have to handle it how it will work when the phone is switched off. So the polling will stop, you will not get updates. So you have to rely back on GCM or APNS for that.
So there is no effective way to reduce the right?
No, polling, don't use polling.
I'm not talking about the polling. In your slide, you mentioned WhatsApp uses push only.
Yes.
But still the consumption is more.
Yeah, push is effective. Because see, I don't actually have to wait for a message to come. It is delivered to me.
Okay.
So I have an open TCP connection from the client to the server. Think of it as like a pipe, like two pipes connected via hose. So when there is like water coming at the other end, it actually flows onto your mobile phone. What actually I actually mentioned poll versus push. Polling in terms of the same thing would be like you going to the pipe and turning on the tap and checking if it was like not fully, if there was no water available all the time. You go open the pipe, check no water is coming, come back. Now 20 seconds back, you go there, check, come back. So that's the kind of a hit that when you transfer that into real world thing, that's like push versus poll. You go back, check if there are messages, you come back. You go check, no message, come back. You will go like n number of calls to get like even one message. So push is actually like a water coming through a pipe from the server to a mobile phone. It is actually sent to your mobile phone.
Okay, thank you.